Consort Radahn, the famed not only most hardest Elden Ring boss, usurping his half-little sister and Melania, Blade of Miquella, or Goddess of Ra herself, easily a towering, terrifying, and unmatchable behemoth powered by a god and his consort Miquella, the molester, the compassionate tyrant, with his oafish brother that stands as a pillar of might and easily surpasses his original self in Starscourge Radahn, famed king of the battlefield's lion, conqueror of the stars. With that being said, I have talked about this man Starscourge Radahn multiple times, but I have a little bit talked about Consort Radahn, and in today's video I will give you that, but in a rematch. As in the last video, speaking of these two combatants that you see on the title and mixed on the thumbnail, I had this man Consort Radahn face Cell of Dragon Ball, the ultimate life form, greatest creation of Dr. Gero, the Booty Warrior. And in that video I ultimately said that you can very much see as much credit as Starscourge Radahn could mix bag defeat Cell, but Cell has a lot more better broad arguments to where you could see him winning. But I would say, who would win this rematch? Consort Radahn with Miquella versus Cell of Dragon Ball Xenoverse, aka Heroes, but considering the up form of his already set in stone Dragon Ball Z scaling. With that being said, I hope you guys will enjoy. I appreciate all the support and love that's been shown across the views from ever since the video that I've made. I appreciate all of y'all. If you're new here, please leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, where the case may be. I appreciate you for watching. Time to go and get it in. Starscourge Radahn, my favorite character of Elden Ring, a character I talked about multiple times on this channel. I've said before about how Consort Radahn is very much comparable to Goddess of Ra and is relative to be arguably the strongest demigod, tied as well with his half-sibling Miquella, being reasonable to be on that same status, as he is very much comparable to both of them in a mixed talk of again having Miquella by his side, as Consort Radahn by himself I believe is a whole different thing. When we talk about this man Consort Radahn, he obviously, I feel like, by being in a better sense of prime, better capabilities in not only case of possible movement, manipulation of not only the stars and every aspect of gravity, he's an arguable superior body with superior, maybe possibly again, capabilities, utilizing blood magic, has multiple different statements and stance of being, the greatest challenge, not only in the Shadow of the Earth Tree, he was mixed narratively and game technicalities, put to be the top of the food chain when it came down to all the bosses in Elden Ring. He's way beyond anybody's compare, and Starscourge Radahn even then was already a powerful mofo, and now at this point easily would be over his half-full sister, and by base case a matter of stand, Pry as well, Miquella of course, obviously, but with his two half-siblings being in obviously the tier list that you saw they were, it is very much reasonable to conclude that easily Starscourge Radahn stands on a tier that, unlike before in the last video, he should be able to stand way higher than. I already talked about this man Starscourge Radahn multiple times in comparison before, so a little bit of stuff in the case of the background of obviously what I'm talking about now is going to decently represent a lot of what's already had to be said. But simply put, Starscourge Radahn with multiple time scale to multi-solar system level at a bare minimum because of the fact of him not only collecting a great harvesting run of stars, they're able to not only contain and fully be streamlined used across multiple great vast light years across multiple boards, and because of the fact that he was able to perfect against beings that not only has the claim of being able to utilize stars in multiple recession, he's over multiple people at different fame, height of knowing about astrology to a vast quantity. He was able to perfect against a person that literally makes nebulas at the palm of their hand in the case of Estelle, a Starscourge, not only fucking anal bead SCP creature, but a being that literally reps astrology and stars if in every aspect of its being you use a starlight beam, right? He as well would be, because of the fact of just scaling to multiple other characters that obviously are in the hell of top dog demigods, should be able to do the same just by proxy of again comparison to what we're talking about for the case of obviously the scaling presented in comparison. So with all that being said, That would easily make Consort Radahn very powerful. What makes him more powerful is not only because in Consort Radahn he obviously gets buffed by Mikola with God Recitation and obviously Golden Order Energy, but because he would be stronger than Rani and her magic, which did in fact create a universal pocket dimension by the word of Miyazaki himself, with the scan shown on screen and everything else to be established, would easily make Consort Radahn ridiculously powerful beyond compare. With Consort Radahn, he would be just on base, be scaling to even over Prime Radahn in the same state of body, or not, to a ridiculous regard. And because of the fact of being narratively said to be a person possibly challenged to tarnish in the case of gameplay, you could say he scales to way more higher stuff in the matter for the scaling of his stuff, like scaling to hypothetically greater than universal plus than what he already has, confidently being universal, right, in an infinite pour of power, yes. But there's a very much part of it of like he is supposed to be, for most different bosses across the board, ridiculously way more powerful than whatever you've ever seen, and that's mainly from gameplay. Narratively so, even though he'd be very powerful and obviously he's a consort to a literal deity now at Mikola never actually rises to the heights that his own mother, father, and anyone else that scales to that or is just on my tier list again would actually rep. So I believe more confidently that solidly universal and already with speed scaling across multiple boards. If you know Elden Ring, showcasing to scale to light, utilize light, scale to creatures that have to be providing light, use light, scale to multi different crazed parts of the cosmos and cosmology of his verse to a very great regard. He should be scaling multiple times faster than the speed of light, over thousands, 100,000s, wank millions, right? And you could keep stretching this with this form, because again, he's literally moving like a literal fucking constellation of light in actual form. And again, he would scale, I would say, very much reasonably relative to Goddess of Rob Melania, regardless of who you think wins. So that's pretty consistent. Overall, when it comes down to his hacks and capabilities, he can fly, utilize stars, gravity magic, meteors, boulders, cause earth-shattering attacks, is more of a ferocious lion than his greatest inspiration, Godfrey First Elden Lord. The brother literally has power of a god beside him, and with Mikola blessing him with intangibility, the capability to seemingly with super speed be able to multiply himself in different forms of capability to not only utilize his 2D swords in quick recession, he's able again to bend around the earth from gravity magic, but possibly also bend around light, literally do a supernova attack akin to Vegeta in Dragon Ball. And yeah, he's just cracked. I mean, every display you see on the screen is that. He could potentially as well even like do some crazy blood magic shit, but just like from gameplay and in character, he most likely won't do that. And Mikola's the main person guiding his mind because of him being mentally not only controlled, but in every aspect of spirit being reanimated to literally be an enforcer, literal walking tank that is fully mobilized in every aspect of most likely bloodlusted, ruthless regard by Mikola. So because of Mikola, you know, literally containing his mind and spirit to a great deal as he is the molester himself, you know what I'm saying, the disgusting degenerate, consort, more like slave. That is pretty much, you know, why and how Mikola will be coming to play with this. But, you know, regardless of, you know, the lore talk, time to go and talk about Cell himself. Cell, the ultimate life form. Famed version of Cell, where in this case he's way beyond everything in Dragon Ball, aka an actual normal canon. In this case, he would scale above obviously every form possible statement and mention of him being a solar system buster, and would have defeated this man Gohan in an iconic clash that said for a lot of people would be the most busting clash of all of Dragon Ball. Would also be Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, whatever. And he killed Gohan if it obviously wasn't for the intervention of the Time Patrol. Regardless of that, in the case for his scale to Gohan there, he reasonably, because of being a lot more full-fledged, stronger than Gohan as Super Saiyan 2 at every bar, he would still scale very highly roughly into the solar system plus to multi-solar system to very much, you could mix stretch and different qualification at this time with every form of, again, you know, scan and essence of power scaling beforehand to be on the credit of being obviously on a universal stand, right? very much firmly. Granted, being the most consistent in comparison to Dragon Ball, the probability for him being, actually universal is a very mixed, double-sided coin of more wankish talk than actual concrete truth, to say the least. Even though, don't get it twisted, he has the potential to destroy the universe in his own words, right? But actually being firmly universal is, again, where, like in the last video, it's a very mixed case of argumentation, as again, it's not as much, very much proud and set in stone, as in the credit of, again, being a solar system plus two multi-solar system type person is with this man's Cell, right? But giving him the benefit of doubt of being universal or not, he is still a very efficient and very deadly individual. This man's Cell being alternate life form that I talked about before, and all different showcases on screen, has all different capabilities of duplication, replication, and even absorption powers of the case of, obviously, his previous forms, and as well as multiple forms of Z fighters, right? The ultimate android skills about everybody else is one of the greatest challenges, not only to Gohan at this time as being just Cell himself, but as well in likelihood to the Time Patroller as well, very effectively being not only for his time within the Cell saga being a beast, but in general a beast, as now within the case of Xenoverse, he is powered by not only a way more greater resolve of hatred, but as well by the negative forces that boost people in a miraculous, ridiculous scale, which easily again makes him a lot more firm as a full confident multi-solar system plus individual. Speed, obviously within the power scaling chain of Dragon Ball at this point, he was scaled numerous times, FTL, multiple times FTL, and you can even arguably guarantee a more safe sound, argument to be, very much more faster than Radahn, not to the most dummy regard, but very good strongly, easily being a lot more close to say is like quarter to pushing millions of times the speed of light. But again, regardless of how you see it, it's obvious the fight is very much still like before a relative thing. I would just say that now, because of Cell having a greater boost and obviously power, having a lot more collective capabilities, a lot more vast, ridiculous, rack of all trades, robust pool of height, and most importantly being a lot more strongly bloodlusted than most likely Consort Radahn, I could see him just at face value at the start of the fight if Cell was full going on dead means, full dead speed blitz, and mix, overriding this man. This seems like the most craziest form of Consort Radahn. Yes, to be fair, would be very much still someone to stack in every way to this man's Cell, but I could see Cell, akin like in Dragon Ball's universe, just unloading a whole different can of bullshit that this man Consort Radahn base-wise could not take. But including Mikola is where I feel like the fight might go a little bit more in his favor. Granted, Cell arguably does have a little bit more distinct, full, arguable, speed stretch. But there's a very much strong argument that with this God grace of energy and this greater, more, I feel like, very heavy pressurizing and all the different fling of the most crazy versatility that Radahn could pull from as a master of gravity magic, the famed Red Crimson Juggernaut himself, I think in every sense of the way that he would find a way to soar around, gain greater advantage. I think Mikola's different case of hacks and amps would very much help him. I don't think Mikola would actually be able to, coerce this man's Cell, aka fill him with so much, sickening compassion and false love that he would actually be able to drain him of, obviously, his resolve, morale, and even some essence, entirely close the gap by pretty much mind fucking him in this case. Not only because it's very mixed, debatable in the stance for how you see them in comparison, most consistent to be said, if he actually could poke at his mind and again degrade him any possible will to fight, because again the mixed argument in the strength, but as well if mind hacks could actually strongly work on someone of Cell with this mindset being entirely fueled by rage. Nothing of this type of sense of trying to reconfigure the mind through compassion. None of this mind warp shit, this mind control, this form of disorientation and fling of false, pretense of that could actually, I feel like, work on him when he's entirely absorbed by the negative chaotic energy that makes him now be this zoomy, D1 level menace that he already was before. You know what I'm saying? So I think all around the androidic cockroach is going to perfect against this man Radahn most of the time, consistently or not. And I think that he would all around best him, even if you try to, again, most concretely close in between the gaps and consistently equal stats them as they arguably have the proposed argument to somewhat considerably be. I still think in all greater probability that Cell will beat him, even if you want to argue that Consort Radahn, base or not, has a way more radically wicked versatility. Cell has better attributes, capabilities, techniques, skill, arguable stick of arguable IQ to maybe boast in actual these different pit for pit fighting capabilities. I believe that Cell just has way more shit going for his, entire play. And all around, he could just rack off multiple times over and just run this match Consort Radahn a whole new muck of bad. And the only reason why I'm laughing is I could just imagine this shit happening, right? It's kind of just funny to think about. But again, besides that, I believe again Consort Radahn will give him a great fight. It's just again Cell has a way better run of arsenal, capabilities, can mix up in way better obsession, and the fact that Mikula's the main one kind of steering in some occasions, the full mental brute of this man Consort Radahn. There could be an argument, not necessarily like he's deficient on mental and has like stage 69 brain cancer, akin to his post-rot self, but he's not as actually like strategically capable as a warrior to where the argument for better sentiment of IQ utilization of shit he's as much greater capable of. Don't get it twisted. Consort Radahn isn't just some big hulking fucking mindless droid, but he definitely isn't as much greater capable as he is, and even with his unstoppable force, I just believe Cell will get around it most of the time. Extreme diff, to be fair, though. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you disagree with anything I said in this video, you already know where to hit me. My Discord is RPKing3124. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you're new here, please hit a like, subscribe, comment, share, where the case may be. Hit the bell icon down below. Really will help me out. But anyway, I love y'all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, mommy. Love y'all.